Well, I hope the first part of this we can tape some gong music off the radio in the morning and give you a little authentic Borneo type music. This is February the 3rd, 1964. We're in Borneo. We had a little rain today, and really the first rain we've had this year. Just started this last weekend. We've been in a real drought, and the situation is pretty bad. Last year at this time we were in a real flood, and the situation was pretty bad. So I guess the plight of the farmer is somewhat the same all over the world. We're taping this at 3 3/4 feet per minute, or whatever it is, speed. And since that's the common speed and one of the common slow speeds, so we thought that'd be the best, so we don't know what your tape recording arrangements are. This is 1 mil cellulose tape, and I think it'll give us about 400 feet on this small roll, so that may turn out to be quite a bit of talking. For some reason I got my microphone over in front of the speaker a little bit, and kind of got a little distortion in there. Not really much new here in Borneo, it seems. Just had a visit from a couple of Peace Corps people, the doctor and sort of the guy that's in charge of the agriculture personnel, only is not in charge of the agriculture people in North Borneo anymore, or Sabah anymore. So we had them here Friday night and Saturday. They went on up to Kudat, which is sort of the main town in these here parts, and I guess they went back to Jesselton yesterday. Don't know really where to begin. We haven't had a letter from you people for a while, and don't know quite what's new with you all. I've been studying my Chinese, and it's about the main use we get out of this darn tape recorder is Chinese lessons. It eats batteries pretty fast. We did have a tape from my mom the other day, and actually it was made the day after Kennedy was assassinated, but between interruptions and getting here and going on leave and all, we just got it heard the other day. We got back from leave about the 12th or so of January, after 5 weeks in Greater Southeast Asia. We left from here on Friday the 7th and went to Jesselton for 3 days and finished up some Peace Corps business down there. Got my old motorcycle in the shop for winter overhaul and cleaning up and so on. And we took off by Cathay Pacific for Manila. We got there about 6 or 7 in the evening, and flying by Cathay Pacific is about the best service we get out here. Pan Am tends to be pretty businesslike, and Malaysian Airways are sort of rinky-dink. Borneo Airways are, well, they fly what they call Twin Pioneers, which are sort of like a Model A Ford with wings. They have take 17 passengers, but they load the seats eeny, meeny, miny, mo, so that it doesn't overbalance one way or the other. The ones they were flying up until last year were wood frame with corrugated aluminum roofing on the outside. They finally condemned them because the termites had eaten up the wood. These things are still pretty much an adventure to fly in. The roof leaks, and there's always chickens and dogs and cats and pigs in the back, 3 or 4 seats, and of course the Allisons have carried their monkey on one, and oil runs out of the motors like it was water running out of a Model T Ford radiator. So it's really quite an adventure, but they tell you it's the safest plane around. They can land at 300 feet, so all you have to do is find 300 feet of beach in the right place, and I guess you're all right one way or the other. Next best thing to a helicopter. We got to Manila, and it was quite a bit cooler up there, and spent 2 days and 3 nights in Manila and the outer reaches of Manila. We got out to Las Bañas, the location of the University of the Philippines Agricultural College, and found some very interesting things out there, including the Rockefeller Ford Foundation Rice Research Institute. And I was so much impressed with it and interested in it that I've written back now to see what we can do about possibly graduate school there. Cornell University has a big exchange program going on now with University of the Philippines, and either at the University of the Philippines or possibly at Cornell part-time might work out pretty good. We're still pretty much up. Back to leave. Then from the Philippines we flew up to Hong Kong, where we really found it cold. We got in there about 11 o'clock at night, just about flew out again. It was probably about 40 degrees or 45 degrees, but it seemed quite a bit colder than that after our cold weather of 75 or so in Borneo. In fact, when we left Borneo, it was about 98 degrees and sunshine, and been that way for about the past 9 months, 10 months, so it was kind of a shock to come out in the cold weather like that. We found Hong Kong rather interesting and bought a few things for the camera and so on, and saw the sights around Hong Kong, the people sleeping in the streets, and the thousands and thousands of refugee centers that they built. Went up to the Communist Chinese border above Kowloon. It's kind of an interesting place. One thing we've realized sort of is we thought we'd see some of these places and then we'd get them out of our system. We really wouldn't have to go back, but it seems like all we did is got them into our system, and it seemed like every place we went, we sort of felt like maybe we'd like to come back and spend a couple of years there. So from Hong Kong, we took a boat over to Bangkok, which was pretty uneventful. Lots of sleep and pretty good food, and which is quite a change from the fried noodles and noodle soup and fried rice that we tend to center most of our diet on, since it's cheap and fills you up pretty good. We got to Bangkok after 5 days, but we had to sit outside the mouth of the river because they'd sunk a barge in the middle of the river and couldn't get in for another 24 hours. So we did get a free meal out of few extra free meals and an extra day of sleep out of the steamship company. When we got to Bangkok, well, we found things kind of interesting, lots of temples and so on. As you've seen in the pictures, there's a new Tarzan movie out. Saw the previews while there, and I can't remember the name of it. Something about 5 Trials of Tarzan or something, which has some very good scenery in it of Bangkok and North Thailand. And I don't know about the movie, but anyhow, the scenery in it ought to be pretty interesting. From Bangkok, we took a bus ride of about 16 hours over to Cambodia and went to Aranya Pertet, to Angkor Wat. At Angkor Wat, we spent 2 full days and pretty well saw the extent of the ruins. We saw almost all of the major ruins, and while we were there, we got toted around with a Well, they have this trailer that they pull behind a bicycle, and a little man pulls you around. Things are phenomenally cheap. We got our money changed on the black market at 90 real to the dollar, and we were paying 170 real for a room a night for 2 people with a bath and so on. We paid this little taxi cab or pedicab driver 125 real a day. No, 225 real for 2 days, and we had all our meals and everything for the 2 of us, and travel for 4 days for about 35, and the souvenirs we bought back for about $35 US. Bus riding in Cambodia and Thailand is kind of exciting, as well as Manila as far as that goes. They don't have quite the safety rules that you find in the States, and it's sort of taking your life in your own hands, and I guess the whole business out here is pretty much that way. We then got back to Bangkok, and we caught a train down to South Thailand to Tung Sung Junction, where a friend of ours from Chico State is in the Peace Corps, is teaching agriculture. And we stayed 3 days with him, including New Year's Day or New Year's Eve, and the school put on a variety show and program. It was quite interesting. We got quite a bit closer to the local people than we had in other places. My Chinese doesn't get me too far in Hong Kong, since I'm learning Mandarin, and they speak mostly Cantonese there. And somewhat the same situation throughout Thailand and Cambodia, although found that the little Chinese I do know sure went a long ways in finding a few things out. After Tung Sung Junction, we got on the train and went to Penang, which is down in Malaya, and there's a free port. And spent 2 days in Penang. Quite nice place to stay. And then we caught the train out of Penang in the evening and went down to Kuala Lumpur. In Kuala Lumpur, we found the nicest thing that we found on our whole leave, and that was a A&W root beer stand that had just been open about 4 or 5 days. And believe me, there's not really much reason to come home now with hot dogs and hamburgers and A&W root beer, and ice cream and so on and so forth. It sure relieved any amount of homesickness that we have. While in Kuala Lumpur, I managed to lose our traveler's checks, but we don't worry about that sort of thing too much. Guess we'll get them back. From Kuala Lumpur, we went by taxi in a Peugeot 404 with a Mercedes-Benz diesel engine in it to Malacca, which is the old Spanish and Dutch. Part of the nightly dogfight going on outside the window there. We were going to Malacca. I guess we got to Malacca. Malaya is quite a bit more developed than Borneo. In some ways more developed than Thailand, much cleaner and neater it seems. And which tends to be the British influence, I think. Probably the worst influence out here is the American influence that we see in Manila, where nothing is organized. Jesselton, which is so organized that you can be sure that a month from now things will be in exactly the same place as they were when you were there last. After a day in Malacca, mostly fretting over lost traveler's checks, we got a Mercedes-Benz 190 SL, 190D taxi down to Singapore, and we spent 2 more days in Singapore trying to buy lenses for my camera. I have ordered a 100 to 200 millimeter zoom telephoto lens and a 35 millimeter wide angle lens for my camera, so that I should be able to get a few more interesting close-up pictures without having to walk up and stick my camera in somebody's face. From Singapore we cut the Hawker Friendship Malaysian Airways plane for Kuching and had 20 minutes in Kuching to see the great British arsenal there, the airport. And from Kuching up to Brunei, where another good bit of British arsenal was stored, and on into Jesselton. We then got into Jesselton about 2:30, and then 4:30 caught the Straits steamship from Jesselton to Kudat, and then spent a couple more days in Kudat arranging with the new agricultural officer a program for the coming weeks, and cleaning up some unfinished books and so on from last year. When we got back, as I said before, we expected to come into the major rainy season, but up until last Friday night we hadn't had any rain at all, and things are in pretty serious condition. I'm afraid we're going to lose quite a bit of our rice. Well, that's pretty much our leave. The work here is quite improved since I've come back. All of a sudden, several things have happened, and people are beginning to be much more interested in production agriculture, and as a result, they're coming to me with ideas and questions and suggestions and so on and so forth. And got several things going, and really beginning to hesitate at all in the idea of leaving here May 1st, which will be the end of our work schedule, it looks about now, since we still have some leave time coming and so on and so forth. Probably be leaving Sabah about June 1st, but the inefficiency of Peace Corps will come into play, along with some leave we'll take in between. So we really don't know. The school situation is still pretty much up in the air as far as graduate school, and the job situation here is just beginning to work itself out to the point where I feel like I could accomplish something by staying from now until January, 1st of January, and could very well be worthwhile, the extra investment of time. Peace Corps life, I guess, begins to affect you from the standpoint that you really begin to lose a real interest in your own well-being and think more about how you can contribute. And yet we wonder at many times how many of the needs we fulfill are more our own selfish needs than really needs of the people of the community. I don't know how much we've told you about Bandar itself. It's consists of 15 shops. We like to brag about the fact that we have 2 restaurants, a bicycle shop, a Chinese club, a hawk shop, watch and radio repair shop. Oh, we have 3 coffee shops, excuse me. Let's see, what else have we got? Well, actually, the rest are all Sears and Roebuck type department stores, but they're only, well, pretty hard to explain. They have anything you want, just about anything in Borneo that you want. You could probably find it in one of our shops. At least there's always the famous saying, anything you want that isn't here, we can get it for you by tomorrow, which tomorrow never is kind of a long way off sometimes, 3 or 4 days, or even 3 or 4 months. But anyhow, it's kind of interesting. We have one shop that we do most of our trading in, but if we purchase something in another shop that he doesn't carry, well, quite generally within 3 or 4 days, he has it in his shop. And also there are a few things that one shopkeeper doesn't sell because another one does. So that if there's something we want, we just tell our shopkeeper, you know, we want this, and he goes and gets it and puts it on his account. By the end of the month, you may owe 8 different shopkeepers, but you only pay one bill and let them haggle it out among themselves, which must be very interesting when you consider their problems with income tax and so on. The situation with Mr. Sicarno right now looks kind of tense. I don't quite, as usual, know what's going to happen, nor does anyone else. But the essence of this ceasefire doesn't really look very quiet at all. As the whole of Southeast Asia looks like it might blow up any day, and maybe even the whole world. We get a few words about Africa these days, which doesn't look exactly the most peaceful place in the world. And South America doesn't seem like it's got much of a leg to stand on. South and Southeast Asia seems like it boils up every 5 minutes. I wonder just how much of the world is going to be left at the end of this war. But maybe then we are a little bit too close to the situation to get a true picture. I don't know whether we've been here too long now or not long enough, but we barbecued a piece of fish tonight. It was about the size of a normal T-bone steak back home, and we almost decided it was almost as good. And I'm sure it must be time to go home before the heat really gets to us. Well, Jerry's sitting over here dying to say something, so we're going to let her talk a while now and see what words of advice she's got to say.
I guess Thane is going to finally let me have a few words. I think there's probably all of about 5 minutes left, but I'll try and let you know what I've been doing. I too had a good time on our vacation, but it was also good to be back to Bandau. Everyone gave us a good welcome, so it made us feel like we were coming home. Our school year starts in January and will end up in December. We go for 3 months and then have a month holiday and then go back again. So it makes it kind of nice. It sort of spreads out the holiday time. So we have now been in school a little over 3 weeks, and we are getting back to normal now. I have a new class of primary 1, and there's talk of starting another one. So that will mean 90 primary 1 students. And it's about all I can stand to teach them once a day, as they have no discipline whatsoever as they come right out of the jungle and try to sit down in a seat for the first time and start learning something, and it's quite difficult to keep their attention. We have a new teaching schedule out now that divides up our time between oral English and written English and reading and writing, and also a time for composition, time for spelling, and so forth. So it keeps me busy looking at the schedule to see what I'm supposed to be doing. Also, I'm keeping busy teaching the teachers on Tuesdays and Thursday afternoons, and then on Wednesday and Friday afternoons I've gotten myself into helping with a Red Cross class. We didn't think there'd be too much interest in this, but we called a meeting and we ended up with about 45 that wanted to attend. We've now got it down to about 24. And then on Sundays I have my 4-H class. Right now I'm working with girls sewing. They're trying to make dresses, and they really don't know too much what they're doing, so I have to stand over each one of them and make sure that they are doing the right thing. But they're really enjoying it because they are making something that they can use and do need very badly. So I'm glad to help if I can. In another week, we'll be getting a few extra days for a holiday, as the Malays are celebrating their Hari Raya, which is the end of their month of fasting, and it is similar to our Easter, I think, and they all dress up in new clothes and they go to the mosque to pray, and I think that they get together with their families and have big dinners, and also they make a lot of cakes that they take around to different people's houses. And also at about the same time is the Chinese New Year, and this is always a good time because the Chinese families always have big feasts, and they kill pigs and cows and ducks and chickens and everything else, and they put on a real good dinner. So we're looking forward to this too. And we think they'll probably have a dragon dance here, and also their Malay dindang. So it should prove to be an exciting time, which we're looking forward to it. Anytime that there's something different going on in Banda, we always look forward to it. Even if there's a movie that comes to town, that's always a big night. Our number of pets have decreased to 2 birds. We've had, and altogether we've had about 3 monkeys, but now we've eaten 1 and we've gotten rid of the other 2, and we've had a Malay animal called a kukong, which we gave away when we went on leave, and now it has died, so we don't have to take care of that anymore. And so I find it's kind of lonely now with only the 2 birds. They don't take much looking after. We are hoping to get a gibbon, and if it's possible we want to take it home, but if it's going to cost too much money, it really won't be worth it. They have a few here in the country, but not too many. You just don't see them in the trees all over the place. But we did see some when we were in Thailand, and they do seem like they'd make a real nice pet for us. We have been wondering if the little Ajax box got to you in time. We finished it up as soon as we could and sent it off, but I'm afraid that maybe it was about a year behind time. Well, now I think maybe Thane and I try to talk to you in Malay. You probably won't understand it all, but at least give you some idea of what our accomplishments have been the past year or so. Juan Ellison, apa bikin sekarang?
Saya main-main sama ini gambar. Kenapa kau panggil saya itu tuan? Saya tidak suka itu.
Banyak orang panggil Tuan.
Tapi itu tuan macam gambar. Ini hari bikin apa?
Ini hari
Ya.
saya ada pula lagi.